Jane Austen, yes, I never really stopped talking about this. I admit, it's kind of an obsession, not gonna lie. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and before I begin, guys, I apologize. I admit I am not wearing any makeup while doing this video. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm human. Makeup takes time to put on. I get frustrated doing it. I'm sorry. But hopefully you can sit through this and endure it anyway. Also, those who have not seen my channel before, welcome. But I should clarify, I am one of those YouTubers who admits just sits there and talks, lacking any technological skill whatsoever. I hope just simply hearing me talk about this is enough for you guys. So yes, we are doing a video ranking the Jane Austen BBC adaptations from the 1970s and 80s when it came to BBC adaptations. So yes, guys, in case you're wondering what box set I'm talking about, it's this, the Jane Austen collection. Yes, from 1970s to 1980s. So actually, when I'm talking about 70s, 80s, I should clarify. Here's the irony when it comes to the adaptations from this collection. 1971 was the first adaptation, and it was of Jane Austen's last completed novel, Persuasion. Then a year later, 1972, we have Jane Austen's last novel she published while she was still alive, Emma. Then in the 80s, I suppose they thought, now shall now go from beginning to end, and that was from Sensibility was in 1981. So 1981 was Sense and Sensibility. Then fast forward a few years to 1985, I believe, then came Pride and Prejudice. Then, still going in the order of the remaining novels that have not been adapted, 1986, the year I was born, Mansfield Park came out. Then 1987, I believe, was her last completed work of Northanger or Northanger Abbey, however you want to pronounce it. Alright, yes, and as we all know, recently Sanditon, her unfinished work, has been also adapted by the BBC as a series. But now we're just talking of the 70s and 80s Jane Austen adaptations of the BBC. And I'm doing this video, guys, because if you are on the fence about these adaptations, you're wondering if they're worth being seen. Because when it comes to us Jane Austen fans, you know how we are. Even when we see every single Jane Austen adaptation, read every single Jane Austen novel 4 times, at least 4 times, and read a lot of fan fiction, we still want to see or hear of more Jane Austen. Curse that woman for dying too young. I'm sorry, Jane, I know you could not have... I know, Jane Austen, you could not have done anything about the fact that you died at the age you died. But we're not going to lie. We all wish you lived a long life and wrote a lot more novels. But here we are, with 6 completed works and a lot of, juvenilia you wrote when you were younger. But those of you guys who know of this collection, but again, you're on the fence of seeing it, hopefully, by doing this video, I'm going to give you guys, hopefully you'll glean more insight if you want to see this adaptation or not. So, without further ado, yes guys, let's go into the ranking. Yes, this is a ranking where I'm going from my least favorite of adaptations to my most favorite adaptations when it comes to this series. So without further ado, let's start at number 6. Oh god. Guys, this pains me to say this. This really pains me to say this. Number 6. Sense and Sensibility. This is my number 6. This is by far the most painful because, and you're thinking, this is number 6? Here's why. It was done in 1981, so years after the first 2 were adapted of Persuasion and Emma. And yet, the production value for this is absolutely awful. The cameras are worse than the cameras that were used in the 70s. They are much worse. Literally. This was done 8 years after Emma, and yet the cameras are much worse. The costuming, not nearly as good as the first 2. By far, everything about the production value, clearly not much money was put into this, not much, I guess, faith was put into this. I don't know what happened, but this is, oh god, it's just ugly to look at, and sometimes because it's not always clear what you're seeing. I mean, people are there. It's clear enough for you to know what's going on, but by god, the cameras are the worst cameras of the entire time. And again, costuming. There are outfits in this, I'm like, you could have given Marianne such a better outfit. It's just painful. And what's even worse is, the cast is really good. And the writing is overall really good. The writer left out Margaret, the youngest daughter, but I can understand why. It's a production where they don't have much money. That means that's a child actor you have to write for, and Margaret's a character that people even wonder, like scholars who analyze Sense and Sensibility even wonder. They're like, why did Jane Austen even put Margaret in here when it's called Sense and Sensibility, Margaret and Eleanor? But so Margaret's not in it. So if that's a drawback for you, then fine. I understand why you would not like that too. But that's the only real thing taken out of. A lot of the original novel overall is still here. The cast is very good. The cast understands these characters. They know what they're doing so very well. The script did a good job of fleshing everybody out, and something I like about the script that was very good, it gave Eleanor a really good personality. Marianne and Eleanor were very well cast. So was almost everyone in this production. But what I liked about this Eleanor, as opposed to the more recent Sense and Sensibility that's adapted by the BBC, is this Eleanor can start a conversation, hold a conversation, and I can see why people confide in her. She knows how to make people comfortable around her. Whereas sometimes when people adapt people who are supposed to be the sense in an equation of a story, they don't make them the very best conversationalist. Or conversationist. You know, whatever the term is. Sorry, I'm always bad with that word. It's really weird with that word. But when it comes to Eleanor, she starts conversations. She can hold one. She can maintain one. Whereas the more recent Sense and Sensibility BBC adaptation, it seemed like every time Eleanor did not know what to say, she looked like she was a little sick, and it wasn't the actress's fault. She did a good job. She said the text did not always give her much to go off of, but this one did. It made Eleanor very likable. I mean, Eleanor's a likable character, but this made her more likable. All the actors were very good. It's just, by God, this was purely let down by production value. It just hurt so much. Alright, and now we are at number 5. At number 5, we have Northanger Abbey as number 5. Yes. Northanger Abbey. Now this is number 5, not because it's actually bad. Oh no. This one is the last one that was adapted to screen. And it shows. Why do I say that? Because this had by far the best production value of all of them. This one, it was very faithfully adapted. All the characters were true to the way they were in the books, but the production value was amazing. Best cameras of the entire series. Best cameras. Best budget. Really great costumes. They were really good there at accentuating all of the actors' individual looks and what their characters should look and feel like. The actors were amazing. Henry Tilney, this guy could talk for days and you'd be mesmerized. It was incredible. Of course, Catherine was, good actress as well. All the older actors, they were veteran actors, they were excellent. Oh gosh, the actor who played, I believe, was Isabella, whatever it is. She was very good as well. And this one really was very good at building the world. For example, when you go to Bath, you go to Bath. It really shows you Bath. There's even one time where you're seeing this one environment was like a bathing house where people go into the building and they put costumes on men and women alike, and they go into this hot water and they just have, it's like a pool. It's like a nice hot, it's like a sauna for everybody to come to, and they have these plates around their necks with flowers on it. It's supposed to give a beautiful aroma when they are walking around in the water. It really shows you Bath phenomenally well. The music is very atmospheric. It is very, very all about building the atmosphere of all of it. But here's the thing, warning you now. Again, this is Jane Austen's kind of, take on or parody of the Gothic obsession of the time. So Catherine's fantasies or daydreams about the Gothic novels she reads, they are vivid, and she goes full on Gothic novel. Like there's one time a character turns around and blood is all over his hands, because that was the Gothic novel concept at the time. But also showing the atmosphere of this, it's really stylized. Northanger Abbey is really stylized because there's one scene where Catherine is listening to Henry Tilney and someone else sing, and There's a little boy who works at Northanger Abbey. He's got the wig, the beautiful getup and everything. He is the cutest little boy you could imagine. They just found BBC, let's find the cutest boy in the world and bring him in here. And he takes Catherine's hand, walks outside with her while the music is playing, and randomly starts doing cartwheels. And it's done in a slow motion with the singing happening in the background and Catherine having her vivid fantasies or nightmares of Gothic novels. It's so atmospheric, and the boy bows at the end. Again, stylized. It's just at number 5 for me because it's not my favorite of Jane Austen novels, but it's a very good adaptation. If you want a good adaptation of Northanger Abbey, this is just as good as the recent one. Now, we have up as number 4, the very first adapted of the BBC adaptations in this series, Persuasion. Okay, Persuasion is the first one that's done, so I'm telling you right now, the camera work, while the cameras are very good and very clear, the production value is beautiful, the costumes look great, the sets look great. It's, the camera, again, it's the 1970s, so the camera is not like Northanger Abbey, where the camera is very about being, the director did a very good job of really being stylized. The camera's there to get the action. It's just, the camera's just set in certain places, so there's no creative camera work. That's the only negative drawback to it, is just that, the camera work is just, the camera's there for a function. It's just there to tell you the story, but not there to help build an atmosphere. But the cast is great. This is the prettiest Anne Elliot I've ever seen. I think she was gorgeous, but she was very good at the same time. So this is no, not me, jumping on Pretty Women. Oh no, she's gorgeous and she's talented. Very, very good actress playing it. Again, cast is great. It's a very loyal adaptation to the book. I'm just telling you, the only drawback is simply cameras. Nothing about this is there to build an atmosphere. The camera's just there to be there. But if you like Persuasion, I still say watch this. It's still overall very faithful to the book. Very good adaptation. Now we have number 3. The second to last of the ones adapted in this series that again was done on my birthday. Or birth year, I should say. Sorry. Mansfield Park. Okay, I hear people complain and say that Mansfield Park has no successful, faithful adaptations of the novel. Guys, if you want a faithful adaptation of the novel, this is it. That's it. This literally is the book completely. Everything about Mansfield Park from the book was in this adaptation. The actress who plays Fanny Price does a very good job at making Fanny likable. Because she puts animation to her. Yes, Fanny still does not talk much the way she does in the book, but this girl gave Fanny Price personality, but even when she's not talking, Fanny reacts to things. And we see her have an affectionate bond with Mary Crawford, who also is very well cast. I'm one of those people who've never ever had a problem with Mary Crawford as a character. I know Jane Austen was to write her as the villain. To me, it's like, no, Mary Crawford was a 21st century woman in 19th century Regency England. She was a modern day woman who was in a situation, where she's supposed to be, inactive and reactive to things, but not proactive. No, I like that Mary Crawford knew what she wanted in life and say what you mean what you say. And she is in all essentials, a nice woman. She's just flawed. In this Mary Crawford, that's what she was. She was a very nice woman, but she was flawed. And that's it. And Edmund Bertram, usually I don't care about Edmund Bertram one way or the other. But whoa! Talk about good casting! This guy made Edmund Bertram really engaging to watch. Again, the actors were phenomenal. The production value was fantastic. It's some of the best production values of the entire series. The costumes were overall very good. The only costume I did not like was Fanny Price's white dress at her ball. I think they could have done a better job at giving her a prettier dress, but that could just be me. Either way, cast, all of them, all the Bertrams, awesome. The Prices, awesome. Also, when it comes to the supporting characters, awesome. Aunt Norris, awesome. Everybody really made this really good. The director was very good as well. It's just overall great, great, great cast. Great adaptation. Did what it needed to do. Again, you want a faithful Mansfield Park adaptation, this is the one. Now, we have up as number 2, the very second adaptation of the BBC with this series, Emma. Okay, guys. Emma has been done over and over and over again. Literally, I think the reason why is because Emma is the most successful at being adapted to screen, because it has a heroine who in the very beginning sets out to do something, and her whole mission that the entire story is really active, and Mr. Knightley makes a very good foil for her. Either way, it lends itself towards film adaptation very well, and that explains why we've seen so many adaptations of Emma. By God, we're probably going to see another one in a couple of years, even though we've already got one right now. If you like Emma, you're going to love this adaptation. It's very loyal to the book in every way. The cast is awesome. The production value is very, very, very good. And since the costumes really work on the actors very well, everyone looks good. They feel like their characters would feel. Once again, actors knowing their characters in this. They know their characters through and through. The writer who adapted the novel was very loyal to the book, made it very enjoyable, but like Persuasion, this was done in the 70s, so the camera is there to be there, to give you the story. It's the actors you're watching, not fancy camera work, not creative camera work, just cameras there to set the stage, to tell the story, but the cameras were good cameras. For that time, they're very clear, so you still see everything pristine fashion. It's all good. But again, if you like Emma, I really think you'll like this along with many other adaptations of Emma. Nothing bad about it. It does its job very well. And number one, as if you're not going to... Who's going to be surprised by this? Guys, who's going to be surprised by this? No one's going to be surprised by this. Of course, number one, Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice. Oh, I love you so much. This is by far, for me, the best adaptation of all of them. Done in 1985, so it's been 4 years since Sense and Sensibility was done, and that's 4 years of BBC saying, no, we're going to get better cameras, better costumes, we're going to do everything right this time, because they did. This is as long as the Colin Firth and Jennifer Ehle version. You know how the Colin Firth, Jennifer Ehle version is like 6 parts or 5.5 parts or something? This is equally as long. They put as much dedication into this as they could. So the actors look phenomenal. The production value, very good. The cameras, not as is still a little stagnant, but overall it does still does the best they could at that time to give you creative camera work. Oh my God, the cast. Okay guys, I'm telling you right now, I love the Colin Firth and Jennifer Ehle version probably still the most, but I love this one almost just as much. The Bennet sisters are exactly as I imagined them. Literally, something about this cast, every actress they got to play the Bennet sisters is exactly the way I thought she would look. Elizabeth Garvey is wonderful as Elizabeth Bennet. The Jane is very good. The Kitty, Lydia, Mary, all of them very, very good. Mrs. Bennet, she's very good as well. I admit I like the Mrs. Bennet in the Colin Firth, Jennifer Ehle one a little more, but she's very good. Same thing with Mr. Bennet. He's good, but I like the one in the Jennifer Ehle one a little more. But still, overall, amazing, amazing cast. Great costumes. The scriptwriter, I think her name is Faye, does a remarkable job of adapting it, but still taking what I call the descriptions we hear in the book and turning it into dialogue. That's very good as well. And we also, in the 80s, see female scriptwriters beginning to be in BBC and really get work, and they're really good at it. This is not me attacking the male scriptwriters at all. I'm just saying, I'm happy to see female scriptwriters too. Men and women, you're all welcome on my channel. But again, like I said before, the Colin Firth and Jennifer Ehle one is my favorite, but oh God, this is so good. Mr. Darcy, I think he's very good as well. And also, the Bingleys, they're very good. You know, Lady Catherine's very good. But this might have to be my favorite Mr. Collins of all, because he's exactly the way he is in the book in this. Literally, Mr. Collins is exactly the way he is in the book. He is probably the best version of it. My guilty pleasure, though, is the Matt Smith version in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, but still. He was excellent in this as well. Pride and Prejudice, this, for me, was phenomenal. If you like Pride and Prejudice, I recommend seeing this. The camera work is not as good as other adaptations, but everything else is perfect in every way, shape, or form. I, again, recommend it wholeheartedly. So guys, this is my ranking of the 1970s and 80s BBC adaptations of Jane Austen's works. If you guys are on the fence about seeing it, I still recommend seeing at least some of the ones I liked on this one. If you don't, that's you, but I'm just hoping to, you know, kickstart some interest in it. So thank you guys so much for watching. You were awesome. Thank you for sitting through this entire thing. Oh, Thank you, guys. It's always nice seeing someone watch and do a view. Guys, thank you. Have a nice day. Bye, guys.